YB stays on your neck.
It's on my neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. Now, as you've all seen from this title, you're going to get the exclusive truth on what's been going on with this Anthony Joshua or Team AJ versus Team Ruiz. There's a lot of confusion out there. The YB has come to quash all confusion and get it straight. Listen, we're going to the bottom line on this one, to the very bottom line. Now, people have been saying, oh, YB, why are your exclusive, why are your valuable sources telling you that AJ and Team AJ and Eddie Hearn have all the power? If that was the case, the fight would be signed. If that was the case, the fight would be on wherever they want it to be. Which would be true. However, you've all missed a key component here, and I'm going to explain it to you now. Listen, I'll say it one more time. Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn have written a guts for Garter, bang to rights, ironclad contract, and Al Gaiman, and Andy Margin Boo Ruiz, they don't like it. Now everyone's gonna be saying, oh, you've told us this already, YB, we know this, or you've alleged this. What's that got to do with anything? If they have this power, why is there any confusion? Well, this is why the confusion is here. How it works is, or how it worked, at the point of the first fight, Andy Ruiz and sloppy Al Gaiman signed the contract. Yeah? Eddie Hearn's 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead of these dudes. So Al Gaiman signs the contract, none the wiser. When you're talking about levels of business smarts and business intelligence, there's levels to this game. Al Gaiman's on one level, Eddie Hearn's a few levels above it. Simple as that. Simple as that. So Al Gaiman naively signs the contract. Yeah? The legally binding contract, naively signs it. Then, 2-2s, Andy Ruiz wins the fight. Now, Andy Ruiz and Al Gaiman, they want to start trying to backtrack. They want to talk about what's fair and what's not fair. What they don't realise is, you signed the first contract, and you agreed it. I'm pretty sure all of their lawyers would have looked through it the first time. So, in a court, you can't sit there and argue, oh, these terms aren't fair. Oh, this that, because why did you sign it for? Why did your experienced lawyers, why did your 40 years in the business, Al Gaiman, why did you sign the contract for? But that's not the main problem here. The issue is, why are there delays if Eddie Hearn and AJ have all the power? And this is why the delays are happening. Like I said to you lot, they signed the contract the first time. However, for the second fight to start, and for the second fight for the venue to be announced and for the venue to be agreed, Al Gaiman and Andy Ruiz still have to accept the fight. Does that make sense? Eddie Hearn and AJ, even though they've got the control, they can't force Andy Ruiz and Al Gaiman to put pen to paper. Does that make sense? So at the moment, Al Gaiman's team are sitting there, sweating, bringing in all these dudes, trying to find a loophole to get out of it, or trying to find a loophole to essentially get out of the contract or to get some power back, and they can't do it. That's why it's taking all this time. Eddie Hearn and AJ have told them this is where it's happening. At the moment, we're in that process of all that Eddie Hearn can do now is sit and wait. Al Heyman's trying to find all these little, trying to find a loophole, trying to find a way out, or trying to find a way to get some power back. That's what's going on here now, because Andy Ruiz said to him, Al Gaiman, I'm the champion. This is what he believes. Andy Ruiz naively believes this. He believes, I'm the champion, Al. How could you sign the contract, how could you sign the champion into this? Andy Ruiz is none the wiser. He doesn't realise that the contract was signed well before. And ultimately, Al Heyman didn't really believe in him. Because if Al Heyman believed in him, he'd have been saying on the first contract, when all this stuff signed, wait there a minute, Eddie Hearn. The rematch clause stipulates that you'll have the power even if we win. I'm confident my client's going to win, so we need to change this. That's what could have happened before the first fight was signed. It didn't. Because Al Gaiman and Andy Ruiz, I don't know what they was doing. They was slipping. As I explained to you, look, people think I'm the one talking rubbish. He got caught slipping. Al, take the L. You've been served a red hot UK L, fresh out of Essex. Yeah, that's what you've been served. A matchroom L, and that's what you've got to live with. You've got to live for this next fight. You've got to hold the L and keep it moving. Look, it's done. It's over. Al, it's over. Andy Ruiz, it's over. You will go where you're told to go, and that's that. But anyway, the point in this video is just to clear up so everyone's on the same hymn sheet now. The fact that Eddie Hearn and AJ's power is absolute, yeah? It's overbearing, the amount of power they've got going into this rematch, in terms of where it will be, when it will be, how it will be, whenever it will be, yeah? But that said, you can't force a man to sign a contract. So all this time that's elapsed since the fight is because they're waiting for Al Heyman's team to sign. That's what we're waiting for. And let's not forget, people can sit there and say, oh, well, you don't know it's Al Heyman. We do know it's Al Heyman delaying the fight, because he's the one who was in the interview trying to gas Andy Ruiz up. I've played it. I'm gonna replay it in the next few days. Andy Ruiz, the interviewer says to him, will you go to the UK? And Andy Ruiz goes, and he looks over, and Al Heyman mimes to him and says something to him. You can't see it, but then Andy Ruiz comes back and says, yeah, if they want me to come to the UK, you're gonna need $50 million. And that's where all this stuff started. It started from Al. He's trying to get some public support, it seems, because he contractually and legally ain't got no support. He's got Sfagato on this one. He's legless. AJ and Eddie Hearn have left Al Heyman legless and sockless. They've stripped him of all his socks and all his legs. He's done. He's legally and commercially cooked on this one. So what they're trying to do is drum up some support. Oh yes, we're the champion, and yeah, that's too late. You should have thought about that on the first signing. You can't now backtrack, because otherwise, what's the point in having a contract? If everyone can backtrack and talk about what they could have, should have, would have done, and that's why I try and tell you lot. It's not. You can sit there and say I'm a fanboy. The bottom line is, why isn't the fight being signed? If it's not a case Al Heyman's sour, why is the fight not being signed? Now let me clear another thing up as well, because some people have also been saying, oh yeah, oh no, you lot are stupid. Andy Ruiz has all the power. Well, if Andy Ruiz has all the power, then what are you trying to say? You must be trying to say that AJ's the one delaying the fight then. Surely. That's what you must be saying. You must be saying AJ's the one delaying the fight because what? Which makes no sense, by the way. And anyway, forget what I say, forget what Eddie Hearn says. On your screen now, you'll see an independent source, Mike Coppinger, boxing writer for The Athletic. I believe he used to work for LA Times. Anyway, he has a conversation with an ill-educated tweeter or ill-educated boxing fan, and he says, or the boxing fan basically says that the rematch clause just says they'll have a rematch. It didn't stipulate at what location. If Hearn and Joshua want it in England, they'll have to change his mind. What a joke. Which will mean pay him some extra millions of dollars to accept it in England. This is mental. And the fact that it's got 25 likes and 5 retweets. Let me educate this dude. And anyway, Mike Coppinger did it for him. Not true. The contract stipulated location. And it's not even that deep. It's really not even that deep in terms of what the contract stipulated. How the contract would have worked is, in my opinion, from what I understand, from my deep, valuable sources, how it works is the rematch clause. So you put a rematch clause in there. If I lose this fight, there's a whole bunch of if statements. If I lose this fight, I will have the right to a rematch. Yeah? Andy Ruiz did not have a right to a rematch if he lost. That's the first thing, and that's how you can tell this contract. It's not a. When you come in as the 99-1 A side, there's no equalness here, and that's what people don't understand. They're sitting here saying, as the A side, why would you build equalness into a contract for? It don't make no sense. Yeah, it really don't make no sense. And that's what I'm trying to say. Take that as an example. Andy Ruiz had no rematch clause, so therefore, how can you ever believe that he'd have any power? But anyway, let's keep working through this thing. So the first thing, the rematch clause. If AJ loses, there will be a rematch clause. If Andy Ruiz loses, there will be squat. That's the first thing. Then it would have gone on to say, if I lose the first fight, I will also have all the power to dictate whatever I please, more or less, in so many words. That's what it would have been. Location, everything will be decided by Party AJ, Team AJ. That's how it goes. It's really not rocket science here. And you got to ask yourself now, for you guys believing that Andy Ruiz and Al Heyman have the power, explain to me why. Eddie Hearn said it. Why would he not? Why would you not put that in the contract? Why would you say, okay, well, if we lose the first fight, we're gonna endow power to you to make all these decisions? Explain that. What logic does that make sense? It doesn't make no sense to anyone. It really doesn't. The only way Andy Ruiz could have power to dictate terms in the rematch would be if they had the power to negotiate them in the first fight, which they didn't have. He was desperate. He was begging for it. Yeah, that's the truth of the matter. He was begging for it. You can only, and that's what. Cast your minds back to the Deontay Wilder situation. What do we know? Initially, when Eddie Hearn sent the contract to Deontay Wilder, he didn't even have a rematch clause. At the first time that Eddie Hearn sent the offer, it was AJ. If AJ loses, he gets a rematch. If Deontay Wilder loses, there's no rematch. And that's what I'm saying. It's all about power going into it. And obviously, Deontay Wilder was a bigger entity than Andy Ruiz, so he was able to negotiate some more favourable terms. However, Andy Ruiz isn't. So as an example, if AJ was going to fight Deontay Wilder or Fury, they might be able to, even then, in my opinion, it'd be a stretch, because in commercial terms, they're nobodies. But they might be able to say, okay, we'll have to agree on, in the case of a rematch, two teams will come to an agreement on the location. Now, that whole thing of in the rematch coming to an agreement, that Andy Ruiz wouldn't be able to dictate that at the point of before the fight was signed the first time. No way. On what leg? How would he say, oh, by the way, AJ, you've got 3 belts. You're the one bringing all the money. You're the one paying me my record payday 30 times over. And by the way, if I do beat you, I want to be able to decide the location. Are you joking? It wouldn't. In fact, it didn't. I was about to say it wouldn't even cross Andy Ruiz's mind. And unfortunately for Andy Ruiz and Al Heyman, it didn't. It didn't cross their mind, because if it did, they'd be in a position of power now, which they're not. Or actually, to be honest, they wouldn't be in a position of power, because Eddie Hearn and AJ would never would have signed it. They'd said, "You're out your mind. You're a 99-1 A side here. You can't dictate any terms, win or not." But anyway, I hope that's cleared that up now. Anyway, so anyone wondering why, if AJ and Eddie Hearn had the power, why the fight hasn't been signed, we're waiting for Ruiz's signature. We're sitting here, we can't force the man. And the reason it's taking so long is because Al Heyman and Andy Ruiz, they're feeling it. They're feeling some type of way. You know, them ones there, because obviously Andy Ruiz just won the belts. He's feeling himself. I bet he's got a load of people in his DMs, a load of man in his DMs, gassing him up, making him feel nice. And he's thinking to himself, wait a minute, I've got the belts. Well, you've heard him say it himself. He's thinking, I've got the belts, I'm the champ, I must call the shots now, but you don't. And that's quite, what's the word? That's quite, not emasculating, but it's quite demeaning, I guess you could say. No, patronising, that's it. It's quite patronising. Patronising. It's quite patronising. I think that's the word. Patronising? Yeah, it's quite patronising when you're the champion and you're being told what you will and won't do by a non-champion. And that's why we're in the situation we are now. Al Heyman's sitting there sweating, scratching his head, spending a whole lot of money trying to find a way to help his client out, because Andy Ruiz is coming to him every day saying, "Oh, what's going on here, mate? I'm the champion. What do you mean we've got to go to the UK and get bent over by the fans and then bent over by AJ?" He said, seriously, I've got some good sources from inside the team. Al Heyman, and Andy Ruiz had several conversations saying, Al, what do you mean I gotta go to the UK and have the UK fans bend my little ass over before AJ bends my little ass over? These are all the conversations they've been having. I've heard good sources, valuable sources. You don't like it. So if you want the fight to be signed quicker, get onto Al Heyman, get onto Andy Ruiz and tell them to put their ego to one side, hold the L. I know it burns. Let it burn for a bit. Taking L's is almost like your first breakup with a woman or a man, whatever way you fancy. That first one, no matter how much you try to forget, or no matter how much you want to get over it, it just burns. It lingers, doesn't it? It lingers for them first few weeks. It really lingers, and that's what Al Heyman's going through. He's never been served an L. He didn't expect it. He was right. He completely wrote Eddie Hearn off, and 2-2s. Now he's been commercially, legally bent over. This is big, by the way. This is big. This is big Al Heyman, big Harvard MBA, got murked by some Essex Don. That's what's gone on here, by the way. Don't be under. And you may sit there and say, "Oh, what are you talking about, YB? That sounds so pathetic." But that's what it's like in business. You got a whole load of men who have these big egos and these big. They're power freaks, almost like Trump. Al Heyman is like Trump, essentially. Imagine Trump trying to take a public. Man, to add insult to injury as well, it's public. This is all going on publicly. Publicly, it's known. Eddie Hearn's command told everyone. Publicly, it's known that we have all the power, even though we have no belts. And that's burning, Andy. And if you can sit there and say, why be talking crap? Well, he said it himself. You've heard it out of his own mouth. He said, I have the belts, I have the power, I call the shots. So you can already tell there's a man there with a whole lot of ego. And that's why they're not letting it go. Because if most people who didn't have a massive ego would just say, you know what, this is what we've signed, we're legally bound to do this, let's get on with it. But they're not doing that, they're not letting it go. That's why it's taking all this time. Because they're sitting there, bringing hundreds of lawyers in, trying to find a little loophole to get out of it, trying to find some sort of technicality. Seriously, it's not a joke. And all of these rumours as well, we've heard about, oh yeah, we're going to fight Deontay Wilder, and we're going to do this. They're seriously looking into that. They're seriously looking in, and that's why I've heard from sources that allegedly we all know there's a stipulation that says unifications can supersede mandatories. So what I heard Andy Ruiz and Al Gaiman were looking into, they were looking into to see if that unification that unification technicality, they were trying to see, can the unification call supersede the rematch clause? But unfortunately, Mr. Eddie Ironclad Hearn, Eddie Bang to Rights Hearn, he's too deep. Al's too tangled. Now you've got to bear in mind as well. Not only is Al Gaiman and Andy Ruiz, not only are they salty because they believe they should have power. Not only do they feel patronised, yeah. Also, to add insult to injury,